Good morning. Hope you're all doing well. What's this? Excellent. So, yes, Sunday roast. It's a clever play on words, you see. Do Americans have a Sunday roast? Is that just a British thing? I don't actually know. Let me know your thoughts. Yeah, totally unplanned, scheduled show. I realised I hadn't actually been on all week for one reason or another. Very busy. I'm very, very busy. Very busy, man. Hello, Sarah. Hello, Katie. Hello, friend. Sarah Hayes. And Katie, hello. It's not an American thing. Okay. And are you aware what a Sunday roast is? Now, I know a roast for you guys is two things. One, it's a playful, jolly, humorous anecdotes. And also, it's a coffee. So over here, Sunday roast isn't necessarily a coffee. Your streaming are amazing. Your streaming are amazing. Thank you, Sarah Hayes. I'm sure that's your name. Daniel, Yorkshire pudding with your oat. Yes, absolutely, Daniel. But now here's the question. Here's the real question for you. Do you prefer one big Yorkshire pudding or many of Aunt Bessie's smaller puddings altogether? It is a lovely afternoon dinner. Now, the roast is the king of dinners, only to be trumped by the Christmas dinner, which is the king of kings dinner. The Christmas roast is the pinnacle of British culinary delights. One big one, yes, big. So, are Americans aware of what a Yorkshire pudding is? I'd like to know that, please. It's a mandatory requirement for living in the UK. I just moved to England and see signs on restaurants inns for Sunday dinner. Yeah, Sunday dinners. Is that a thing? Is a Sunday dinner, Sunday roast a thing? Katie, have you what part of England have you moved to? I'm interested. Interested to see what part, if we can be of assistance. Pastry wrap beef. No, so that's a beef Wellington, usually. So beef Wellington would be a big bit of beef wrapped in pastry. Hang on. I feel like I need to pull something up. So a Yorkshire pud is basically just batter. I say just. Hang on. And it's not actually a pudding. Hang on. Now, let me show you what one of these is. You've probably got an equivalent in the US. So these would be some of Aunt Bessie's. So these are smaller. They're probably about a mug size. However, what you'd normally get in a pub would be one giant pudding like this big. Yeah. Now, a secondary question to that would be: at what point do you consume the Yorkshire pudding? I tend to have it last. Save the best till last. Who doesn't love a good beef Wellington, eh? Yeah. Little south of Peterborough. Interesting. What brought you there, Katie? Are you an American living in England now? And what brought you to Peterborough? Quite interested to hear about that story. We get a lot of Australians moving here, especially younger people moving here back to sort of university sort of era, but to find their roots, I guess, and then go home. But Americans, you don't really get too many moving over, so I'd be interested to hear that. How can you have your pudding if you don't eat your meat? Yeah. Well, the pudding it's not sweet. This is the thing. This is the confusing thing. The etymology behind pudding, I don't actually know. Maybe it started off as a sweet and it ended up being turned savoury after a while. I don't know. It's something for me to research. Get back to you, Katie, if that's okay. Um, but this isn't the way that I intended that or thought the show would go. But that's lovely. Talking about Yorkshire puddings on a Sunday morning, fantastic. Good. So I do have a few things that I'd like to talk about, if that's all right with you. I'll kick off with the. Can you hear the lawn being mowed? I don't. Is that just a reference to something else? I'm not coming to talk about CrossFit Games, Daniel. A couple of reasons being, one is affordability. At the moment, I'm unable to afford to come, so that's the majority. That's the major reason. And secondly, I've got a wife with 2 children, and she's gonna be pregnant, quite pregnant, in a month's time. So I'm considering that, but I'm not saying she's incapable. But if the money was there, potentially, I would love to come. Maybe next year. I think I'd like to. Well, I'm going to Rogue in October, so Halloween weekend. It's my wife's and I 10-year wedding anniversary the week after Rogue. So we're going to drive across on the ferry and make a good week of it. We're going to visit a few friends in the UK. And we're hoping to visit Carl Stedman at his, I'm going to call it a ranch nearby. So we'll make a lovely week of that. But yeah, hopefully next year the games will be on the radar. Yeah, absolutely. And I've got a good friend, Jon, who lives about an hour away. So we're going to visit him as well. So Scotland in the wintertime is unparalleled. An American, my work brought me here for okay, cool. Lovely. Nice to hear. So the week just gone. So let's think last couple of weeks. Just a bit of background. I've recently set up the national governing body for weightlifting on the Isle of Man. There wasn't one. We've got a lot of potential in weightlifting and the para division. So we've recently set that up, myself and a couple of friends. And we've managed in the last year to develop and to get a crop of athletes across the board that wanted to compete. And we've managed to see some really good success already. And this week we announced on the island that one of our young lads, Alfie, who's 16, has actually in the para weightlifting division, he's just managed to qualify to become part of Team GB for the Worlds in October, which is insane. At the age of 16, he's part of the senior squad going to Egypt for the paras, which is amazing. So Alfie's there. Got a lady called Claire who had quite a bad accident a couple of years ago at an OCR. She severed her spine and she's been rendered wheelchair bound. And her resilience is, well, not somewhat, but extremely inspirational. I've never met anyone with a mind like hers. Every knockback, she's focusing on what next. And on the 2-year anniversary of her accident, she competed in her first ever para weightlifting competition in Dublin at an international and absolutely rocked it. So I'm really proud of her. And she also competed at the British Nationals, which was alongside Sid last week in Birmingham, which was amazing. And she did really well there. Thank you, Daniel. Yeah. She's lovely lady, family. She's got 3 lovely young kids who she's brought up very well. But yeah, I'm really proud of Claire and where she is. And the hope is that Claire and Alfie both qualify for the Commonwealth Games next year in Glasgow. So we're hoping to get them there. We've also got some able-bodied athletes, Robin and Harry. Harry is 17. He's in the British pathway already, so he's doing very well. Robin has taken up weightlifting very well. She was a butterfly swimmer. She started doing CrossFit and she's found that she's very good at weightlifting. So she qualified for British last week. She did very well there. And we've also got Janet, the Janimal, who is now the current dual power and weightlifting British champ. Um, she's 56 and she's in the M2 category, and she's set British records in powerlifting and weightlifting in her age group and weight division, and she's qualified for the Euros next year in both sports. So we've got a lot of work to do with Janet, but on for such a short period of time, we've got the Janet is a great name, isn't it? It's I can't claim that. It was my colleague Dan who coached her for a couple of years. The Janimal, yeah. So her family is insane. She's a doctor. Her husband's a doctor. They work at the hospital. Her daughter plays rugby for Bristol Bears, which is a big rugby team. She's in the England squad, and now it's just, those people that are just competent. Just everything they touch is the Midas touch. It's just because they ooze competency. They're just wired differently. It's beautiful to see, beautiful to watch. But yeah, amazing family, and she's got 5 kids, which is even more admirable. When I've got the third on the way, and it's a big deal. But yeah, the Janimal's on big form. So yeah, overall, we've got an amazing setup already. We've recently petitioned to the government to try and get some funding towards weightlifting, because there isn't anything. So we're using the CrossFit gym at the moment, which is amazing, but we do need some input for Worlds, because Robin is actually I'm taking her as coach to the IWF World Champs in Norway in October, which is a massive deal. So we're doing that. So that's great. But that's the weightlifting side of it. But Sid was at the same venue, obviously, last week in Birmingham. And I sent to a couple of the guys. So Gareth White, who's on the show on Tuesday, works with CrossFit UK regarding affiliates. Gareth's an awesome guy. He's an affiliate owner himself in Birmingham, which is lovely to hear. A very, very, very knowledgeable guy, very admirable. Everything he says, you believe, and you want to follow through with, which is lovely. Sat with him talking about what it meant to be at the comps for me over the last couple of months. And I hate talking about myself, my own opinion on stuff. It creeps me out a bit, but I suppose there's the whole point of having a show with my name on it. Over the last few years, I forgot the value of competition. I forgot the value of attending competitions. And Daniel, who's here, kindly invited me over to the French Throwdown, and it reignited a flame. And at the French, it became very apparent, and then it got compounded at Sid. This feeling of family, I guess, and I called it tribe on a post the other day, but I lost touch of what competition meant and what attending those meant, because of my own bias, because I wasn't competing anymore. I went from being an athlete, not a very good one at all, intermediate at best, but I went from being an athlete to not attending competitions, and it lost this edge for me, and I forgot along the way what it meant. And attending those competitions reminded me that we need them. And even if you go, and even if you don't watch the athletes doing what they do and representing what we do at the tip of the spear, being there, being part of the community, attending, seeing the stands, seeing the vendors, seeing, like, I bought this there, buying your next favorite t-shirt, just seeing the joy of people, and also the when lifts don't go right, or when workouts don't go right. It's a reminder that we're all doing the same thing, and we're part of this thing that we fell in love with. And it was a reminder of that for me. And it was a big slap in the face. It was a wake up. We've got this amazing thing that you don't have to be a competitive athlete to enjoy what they do. And Greg was at the French and Throwdown, and we followed him and walked around. And although he didn't pay particular attention to the athletes on the floor, every minute he was there, he loved it. And he was part of this group, this thing, this build that's been going on for 20 years nearly. The competitive side of CrossFit, but also the community that supports that is just as important. And seeing the support crew, seeing the barbecues after, seeing all the people walking around shaking hands. I saw people at Sid that I hadn't seen for over 10 years. And it was instant. And we connected. And we've got this thing, this thing. That's our Bible, so to speak. And what comes out of that is the competitions. Agreed. I do not compete, but just a big kick from single people come together. It comes like an easy. Yes, exactly. And there was this beautiful moment that Claire and I had. We went to Comic-Con. We realized, but when there's people with Superman suits and weird costumes that I've never seen before from strange comics from Japan that I've got no idea about, my suspicions were first aroused that something was afoot on Friday when I arrived, and I saw a goblin thing walking around. I was like, well, either CrossFit costumes have changed since I went to a big competition, or something different's going on. And it was Comic-Con. I thought, So halfway through Saturday, we had a couple of hours. We went for a walk and we found Comic-Con, and it hit me and Claire at the same time is that these people, for that one weekend of the year, they were around others like them. It was their tribe. It was people they felt comfortable around. They could be themselves. They could express themselves in these groups of people. In everyday life, they don't fit in. They don't feel like they fit in with other people around. They walk down the high street and they know they're different, but yet they get together at this thing and they're with their kind. And they can do what they want and they're appreciated and they can watch, and they don't have to be the people that are performing at Comic-Con. They're going there to support this thing that they hold dear to themselves, and they're part of this community. And it was like, they're us, but they're doing something slightly different. Ours is performance and theirs is comics and fantasy, and it's different, and it's beautiful. And it's really hard to articulate that feeling, but it was very apparent, and it really struck home with me the parallels there. So that was nice. It was nice to see, and it was a beautiful weekend. The sun was out. There's waterfalls outside. I've never been to the NEC in that since probably 2002. And what a show they can put on there, and the hotels and the restaurants and everything like that. So yeah, it's a great setting, and I believe there's another competition in December, which I'm hoping to go to. So that'll be awesome. But yeah, if you haven't been to a competition recently, if you're someone that is distant from it all, you feel like you need connection again to the CrossFit community, don't feel that CrossFit community is solely affiliate based. It's not. It's at the competitions. It's at them. And the CrossFit Games is the one of them. You don't necessarily have to go to watch the games. You could go to be part of your group that congregate and give you that boost for the rest of the year, just like the Open does for me, for my performance, for my community around me. The Open is that at a different scale. And I think those two things need to be celebrated. And one thing on that, I think one thing we need to get better at as a collective is celebrating the smaller wins as well, not just the tip of the spear, in so much as a lot of the media that a lot of the gyms put out. This is definitely changed in recent, but we got to a point of forgetting that the smaller wins need celebrating too. A lady called Jenny at the gym, not Jenny Dents, but different Jenny at my gym, got her first pull up about 2 weeks ago. And like the joy that she got and the messages we got and the community around her, that needs celebrating too. And I think as long as we're doing everything, there's absolutely no reason that every step of the way can't be. And that all comes under this one thing, CrossFit. And we forgot that. Well, I certainly did. And I think there's a lot to be proud of. And one of the things that I wanted to talk about and try to articulate in long form rather than 140 characters. Um, we try and segregate, to put things in departments, in blocks, in parts, and we try to separate and we try to say, well, this is this thing, this is this thing, this is this thing. Sometimes, and for good reason, sometimes that is apparent, and why that needs doing. But when it comes to what we've got, we don't need to do that. We've got one word that sums it all up. As long as we're educating people on that what it is, as long as we understand what CrossFit is, we've got a pyramid that shows it in its most basic form, a flow upward towards the sport. It's all included. There's no point in having the base of a pyramid if you don't have a tip. It just doesn't go right, does it? So although there's a time and a place for different departments and different approaches to things, we always need to remember that we've got this thing called CrossFit that we should love, nurture, and want to be part of. And that's my take on that. And we've got a responsibility in the media. Not that I include myself as a big player or anything like that, but everyone in this space, everyone that talks about CrossFit, everyone that has this box that we talk into and we pump out there and people are going to watch, we have a responsibility towards that thing called CrossFit. The reason this show's called The Base is because I put emphasis on that end of the pyramid. That's where I think everything starts and builds from. And if you don't have that, then we don't really have the upper echelons of it. Now, for me, the people with the most value in our community, not to say people don't have value in the other parts, but the biggest value that we have is the front line. It's the front line in the gyms, coaching, educating. For me, that's the front line. That is where the peak value is for us. Now, going down that logic, I feel that everyone in the media space, everything that we need to do, needs to make sure that what we're putting out supports that and backs up that value. We need to make sure that everything we are doing is supporting that base. Nothing we do should detract from that, because that is our support structure for everything above it. And I feel like that's the answer to a lot of questions that have been going out recently. I'm not one for drama. I'm not one for inquiry, let's call it. And I understand that views are important. But one thing I would ask is that everyone remembers that thing called CrossFit and why we value it so much. It's being in the gym. It's being around people that we love, people that we see every day, people that are hardworking, people that we associate with, people that we cling on to, people that we want to go out with, people that we go to Coldplay concerts with. We need to keep them close and support them. And the coaches and the affiliates are the front line in that. So let's do everything we can to support them. One thing that I was going to bring up is friend of the show, very good friend of mine, Athena Perez. We are putting together and constructing a course of her for Scale Nation to come over in January time. Dates to be announced. We are finalizing a venue. It will be in London because of ease for access from around Europe. It'll be the first European one. So we're hoping that we can get a few people signed up. Now, we need a minimum of 10 coaches or affiliate owners to sign up for it to make it cost effective, just to break even. So I'm going to put out material there to recruit people to get signed up and book on for the seminar. But if you don't already know about Athena, if you don't already know about her company and her seminar Scale Nation, please look it up. I will post a story, a link there. Athena's been in and around CrossFit and the media space around it since May 2017. I can't sing her praises enough. Athena is fighting on the front line for people that aren't represented necessarily and people that need the most amount of help. And we talk about the world's most vexing problem. If we want to go down that route, she is front line against the world's most vexing problem. So the seminar and the What Scaled Nation offer is a discussion. It will be a 2-day course over here, a discussion about larger bodied athletes, people that are morbidly obese. One, how do we get people into the gym initially? Because for people that have a lost cause or feel like they've too far gone, getting them into the gym, fighting that embarrassment level, fighting that urge to just stay at home. How do we do that? 2, how do we accommodate people? The kit requirements, things like, and this is one thing that absolutely blew my mind, is how many people that work in a gym or own a gym, how many people know the weight limit on a C2 rower? Now, a simple question like that can mean a lot. If you have a large body athlete coming into the gym that can't run, and you say, as a coach, like we sometimes do, if someone can't run, okay, go and sit yourself on a rower and do 20% extra meters. If that person sits on that rower and breaks it because you weren't aware of the weight limit, do you think that person will ever be attending a gym ever again? No. Do you have 12 or 15-inch boxes for people that can't step to 20 in your gym facility for people like that? Maybe. Kit requirements. And then on top of that, the coaching that has to go on top of it. So the knowledge base that goes with coaching those things. For me, it's a requirement. There's a whole section of society that we need to address and we need to get in the gym. It's not a simple case of they should do it just like everyone else. Yon's in the house. It's not a simple case of they should have the motivation to get in. We all know that's not true. If you've worked in a gym, if you've worked in an affiliate, you know that doesn't work for everyone. The people that are just going to walk into your gym already have that covered. We need to set the basis ready and talk about that to be able to accommodate people. And so Yon and I are both working with Athena on that. So hopefully January time, we'll get Athena over and be able to run that course. I'm really hoping we can, because I would love to attend that course. Athena's such a lovely lady. Jay Corswell said, yeah, we've already talked this morning when I was lying in bed. Not that you're in bed with me. That's not another man called David. Anyway, so I think that's all of my bases covered. Pillow talk. But yeah, thought I'd jump on for a bit, jump off half an hour, unless anyone wants to have a chat. Do you know what I've got planned for today? I'll put my son's bed together. I've coached this morning a couple of hours. Rearranging the kids' room because of number 3 that we're having in December. We're having a little shuffle around in the house. I'm not going to give up this room. This is the spare room. I can't give this up. I just looked at road tickets. Yeah, so about that, Katie. Yon and I applied for media passes, and that was in November, December, I think. And we don't get told until August whether or not we get approved for media. So we're having to wait till August to book our tickets. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, I built a swing 2 days ago. Yeah, maybe our media passes were lost in the mail. But no, we're really hoping that John and I get to go. It is kind of close, but you know what we don't want to do is buy tickets and then get media passes and then have to sell them. We don't really want to do that. Let me know if you need help with media. Yeah, you can come and point a camera at us if you like. But yeah, the road will be really cool. I'm looking forward to going that, because last year, Jon and I both had tickets booked for Rogue, and we both had separate reasons why we couldn't attend in the end. both medical related. But yeah, we couldn't attend, which was gutting at the time. But it looked really cool. And Jon and I promised that we're not going to do anything naughty like some of the athletes did. Moving on from that. Yeah, Katie, if you can help us get media passes, then you're on board. Yeah, all good. What was I going to say? Yeah, I'm building a bed. And then 2:00, Destruction Derby. There's a raceway on the island, and they do Destruction Derby. Can't remember what it's actually called. That was the game on the PlayStation, wasn't it? But yeah, basically cars going around a circuit, just destroying each other. We're going to go to that this afternoon. We're going to go for a little cheeky walk after that in the mountains. Not quite. No. Let's just say there were extracurricular activities for the strong people at Rogue last year. We won't go into that. But yes, there we go. Good. Right. So, unless anyone's got any burning questions, we'll say goodbye. We'll say adieu. Oh, one thing. Does anyone know anyone at ESC? These things, right? And I'll tell you why. This is the second set this has happened to me. The charger unit, these little chargy things, they've broken away, and now I can't charge that. And it's been about 6 months. So the right one I can't charge, and I've taken it apart and it won't work. It's the second set. I'm not doing anything silly. Yeah, let's do it. Let's go. Let's go. Yeah, we'll be on tonight later on Glinton Things channel. Jon and I will be talking about lots of naughty things. Maybe not. Don't know. We'll just talk shit. But yeah, if anyone knows anyone at ESC, I think they're a UK brand, aren't they? I know it's Every Second Counts, and they got that from the documentary Everett a little while ago. Oh, talking naughty. Okay, Katie. Okay. Feed me your question while I sip my roast. Oh, Jon, the question we asked earlier was, do you have one big Yorkshire pudding or many little ones? Do Brits call the years 2000 the noughties? We do. Yeah, I wish we didn't. I wish there was another better name. But yeah. It isn't actually. No. Katie, we discussed earlier. Katie, this Katie with the rose. Is it a rose? A flower. She is an American living near Peterborough. She's moved here for work. So you have many little ones. Okay. Now I'm gonna break the internet here. Okay. I don't like gravy. I don't like gravy all over my roast. I eat my roast a very particular way, which used to really annoy my granddad. I don't know where I get my eating issues from, by the way. So, yeah, very much everyone does, don't they? So, imagine your typical roast dinner, right? So you got your veggies, you got your meats, you got your other meat, you got your Yorkshire pudding, you got everything. I eat worst to best, and I eat all of that thing before I move on to the next thing, right? So if you've got, I don't know, broccoli on your plate, any veg, I'll eat all of that first, and then I'll move on to the next thing. So I eat all of the things one at a time, and I start with the worst thing and I end with the best thing, which is why I mentioned earlier, I always finish with the Yorkshire pudding. That's the last thing on the plate for me, and then I eat that best thing. My granddad, oh my God, he used to do his head in. He would stare at me when I was eating, getting really annoyed. Don't know where I get my issues from. I just don't eat the rocket. I know, but we have to at some point, don't we? Roast tatties are what I finish on. So there you have it, guys. Yon likes to finish on tatties. There we go. The table hates when I take my. Yeah, don't do that, especially when you're in public. Oh, you carnivore. How long have you been doing that for, Katie? So my wife and I do that. Well, have done it in the past. So here's the here's my take on it. Clearly, it has some benefit for a lot of people. 5 years, wow. I think it gives people structure. It gives them boundaries, confinement. It gives them black or white. It says you cannot have anything other than that. That's pretty much, I think, the biggest benefit. It takes away the temptation to open the floodgates. And I think any good, although certain people really, really, really shouldn't have restrictive diets in terms of what they can and can't eat. A lot of people, if it works for you, have at it. Was there a reason you started that, Katie? Was there a reason you started carnivore in the first place? Obviously that's 5 years ago. We're talking COVID. Was it a pandemic thing? Was it something you'd done before in ketogenic sort of stages? Yeah, good. Jon, have you ever done carnivore? Okay. You wreck your stomach. That's interesting. Yeah, it's cut with keto. So what have you eliminated outside of from going from keto to carnivore? Have you got rid of what have you got rid of? Fruit, I guess. No, you wouldn't have had fruit. You'd have had a bit of fruit, wouldn't you? Because my understanding on keto, you can have up to about 50 grams of carbs a day, can't you? Whereas carnivore, obviously, you're just vegetables like broccoli. Yeah, yeah. Cool. And if it's working, how have you found your energy levels for performance? That's the other thing with when we talk about like the introduction of carbohydrates and for sport and with CrossFit, I think the zone and the blocks and the you may see something that starts no sugar. It works for your everyday person. If you're a performance athlete, that's when we need to start thinking about fueling a little bit differently, don't we? I believe it's by wow. What? Why do you think that is? Why do you think they meat and fruit and veg don't sit well with you? Because obviously that's quite particular. Have you got any other diagnosed issues? Good energy around a marathon gym without feeling poor. That's cool. Obviously, there's stories of people being able to do that. And one of the ladies, Sarah Webster, that I was coaching, she moved back to the UK about 6 months ago now. She's an ultra runner. She's actually Team GB's premier ultra runner now, at the age of 46. She did a lot of testing and they actually found that she metabolizes fat a lot quicker and better, not quicker, but a lot better than carbohydrates. So she's recently switched to more of a higher fat diet, coming off the gels more often. And she's doing 100 milers and 100K races on and off track and off, in trail. That's the word. And she's found she's fine. Different people, I guess, work obviously metabolize differently, and also carbohydrates taste delicious, don't they? Although one of the best shapes I got in was about 2013. I did keto, No, I didn't. I did Whole Foods. So I just went Whole Foods, straight narrow, bomb, no cheats, no um, Saturday nights, and yeah, got in fantastic shape. Although at the time I was more of a Metcon CrossFit athlete, so I wasn't concentrating too much on the high end sport or the heavier weights. But my gymnastics got a lot better. I got a lot leaner. I got down to about 9% body fat. But then again, it was 12 years ago, so I was 28. Yeah, all good. I think that people like to feed themselves excuses as to why they can and can't do stuff and hide behind reasons. And I'm running out of them at the moment. Although performance is good at the moment, can't complain there. I've got a High Rocks with Yon in October, and 3 weeks before that, I've got a full power meet in Manchester, so that should be fun. Hybrid athlete. The only reason I steer clear of some of the CrossFit competitions at the moment is my neck. So I had 2 discs replaced in my neck in 2020, but early, and going on my head doesn't sit well with having 2 fake discs in my neck. So handstand press ups and stuff like that. So if you eliminate that, doesn't really bode too well. And I don't butterfly anymore. Hybrid rockstar. I don't butterfly anymore. I will do some really controlled, tight kips when I need to. But other than that, I tend to stick to strict. And when you're competing in CrossFit, obviously that goes against. I'm not against it, really not against it. But for myself, for my own goals and objectives with my training, it doesn't quite suit the moment. So there we go. Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing. It's substitutions. It's knowing, I've been doing this long enough now myself where I'll know how to program for myself and adapt and scale. I'm definitely not afraid of scaling to get the stimulus of the workout. However, when you want to go to competition, you can't just ask, you know what, instead of handstand push-ups, can I do some dumbbell push press? Well, instead. So, yeah, all good. So one thing I was going to talk about before I went, I've completely forgotten it up until now, was the week ahead. So on Tuesday, I have Garrett White on from CrossFit UK. Really looking forward to that. Not only is involved at the CrossFit level, he's affiliate owner and an athlete himself. So I really want to discuss that. He's a really cool guy as well. Got a lot of time for him. And Friday, I have got Chase Ingram and Bill Grundler on from Get With The Programming. That'll be cool. That will be Friday evening, our time, middle of the day for you guys in the US. So I'm really looking forward to that. Both of them very well respected. I've got a lot of time for both of them. The last sort of decade or so, they've clearly been on the forefront of media. And also, I want to ask Bill how he does toes to bar without shoes on. That's fucking mental. He's got toes made of steel. And then on Sunday, I've got Steve Beckett from The Defiant Co, sorry. And Hannah Mitu from the Academy program. Now, I want to talk to them about different stuff they're doing individually, but also they've got a really cool collaboration going on at the moment with Defiant Co and the printing company and the Academy program. So I'm really looking forward to that. And Hannah's got a really cool project she's trying to raise awareness for at the moment. So I can't wait for that and to get those on. So that's the week ahead. And also I'm on the cusp of getting Gretchen, who is the chairperson of the IF3, so the International Functional Fitness Federation, who are the International Functional Fitness Federation. They're the governing body for functional fitness, running the events around the globe. And I cannot wait to get her on. I want to hear all about it, the origins of it, because I've seen it from afar. I've watched it grow over the last sort of decade. I think 2015 was when it first kicked off. But that would be really cool to hear their take. I've got a couple of friends who are involved at the competition level of BF3 and the EF3. Yeah, so that's the other thing, Katie. So um, I don't want to ruin it. I won't go into it too much. However, the IF3 was set up, I think it was 2015. I remember Steve Fawcett from the UK was involved in the initial setup, and Hannah Mittu's coming on next week, has just taken on a new role working for the British BF3. It's a structured approach to formalizing the sport. So if you think about what sort of Hyrox are trying to do with theirs, with any given sport, let's take weightlifting as an example. It's the easiest one that we can all appreciate. As a neutral organization, they are outside of competition in terms of actually representing all, and they're non-profit. So weightlifting, you have the IWF, so the International Weightlifting Federation. They get exactly, David knows. The IWF set the standards, set the rules, they update them, they make the regulations, and they make sure that everything is represented globally. And they have to remain neutral. And they're made up of people from the tier down, which is the regional. So you might have European, you've got the North American, you've got the Pan Ams, you've got those weightlifting federations underneath the IWF. Underneath them, you've then got the national governing bodies. So you've got British weightlifting, you've got the Team USA weightlifting, you've got Chinese weightlifting. They represent those individual countries. And then you've got the clubs underneath them. So you've got a 4-tier system there. Now, CrossFit, as it is at the moment, obviously it's an LLC, it's a profit-making company, and we go the other way. So we start at the foundation, which is the affiliates, and we tier up from there towards the games. But it's a private, ideally, money-making venture, and a lot of the American sports are geared up that way. However, when you come to global sports that operate fairly and adhere to governance, you have to have an international governing body, a regional governing body, and then national governing bodies. Now, what the IF have done is produce that system for functional fitness. They sit well outside of everyone else. They're neutral, so they aren't opening gyms. You can't be a functional fitness IF3 gym. It's not like that. They've just set up a neutral ground sport that you can enter if you are involved in functional fitness. You can do the online qualifiers to go to the nationals. You then qualify via the nationals to go to the regionals. You then go to the regionals, and then you qualify for the worlds. I had a young lady called Tammy Tomlinson that was, Tatiana Tomlinson, that was on about a month ago now with her parents. She won the British. She qualified for the Europeans. She won the Europeans, and now she's qualified for Australia, the worlds. I've got a friend called Simon Stokes, who's 57. Excuse me, Simon, if that's wrong. I think you're 58, but we'll go with 57. Has missed out on the games by a hair the last couple of years. He qualified for the Europeans, but unfortunately injured his knee. Now, we're booking in Gretchen, who is in charge of the International Functional Fitness Federation. I really want to understand where it's going, where it's come from, what it's all about, the governance, who sets what, where they get their resources from, how people can get involved. I'm really interested in that side of things. But anyway, got Gretchen coming on soon. And there was another company, well, a charity, that I spoke to very briefly at SID. Once again, another reason why attending these events is so important. Together We Lift is a charity set up, and it's to highlight mental health issues and suicide with people, and using barbell sports and fitness and strength sports to promote, educate, and talk about things. And Liam and Luke hopefully will come on from Together We Lift in the next couple of weeks. I'm trying to get them involved at another event as well. So got a really cool couple of weeks ahead with shows. I'm really looking forward to it. Sounds like a middleman. Yeah, it effectively it is. Now, Katie, if you think about any other governed sport, the organizers themselves cannot be biased. They have to be neutral. So it's not like they're directly involved in in the results of the sport, they're governing. So they're a governing body. So they orchestrate the ability for others to partake and organize. If you think about weightlifting, think about USA weightlifting. There's no profit making goal there. It's the sport. It's getting people involved. They fund ventures for people to accommodate barbell clubs and to get into the sport, to go to the Olympics, to represent the country. That's the role of governing bodies. It's non-profit. Compare that to a lot of American sports, NFL, NHL, NBA, MLS, and CrossFit, if you include that. They're all profit-making companies that are sponsored by businesses and make money. It's very, very different structure to regular sports. Look at football or soccer. You've got FIFA, which are worldwide. You've got UEFA in Europe, who are the European representative. And then in the UK, as an example, you've got the FA, so the Football Association. Their role is not to make profit, it's to reinvest all money into grassroots to get more people into the sport and participate, rather than making profit. So those systems are in place as national governing bodies. And that's what the IF3 operate as. So it's outside of profit, outside of businesses. It's to get people into the functional fitness sport and to formalize it slightly. So it's outside of CrossFit, but the people that do it are CrossFitters, which is why it's obviously a little bit different from High Rocks. But anyway, there we go. Thank you for all for joining me. It's been lovely catching up. I haven't even finished my coffee yet. I need to go and make a bed for my son, who's been sleeping on the mattress on the floor for the last week. But I was reminded this week about hard workers. We had a mechanic come to our house in a van, fix my car in about 6 hours of work, didn't ask any questions, didn't hassle, kept to the quoted price, did the work, and was on his way. And I will recommend the hell out of him to everyone. The work he's done is far beyond what we expected. He was very affordable for what he did the work he said he was going to do, is competent, didn't get in the way, didn't hassle, didn't moan, did the work. And I will definitely be using him again and recommending to everyone. So I've took a lot away from that. Sunday fun run. I'm going for a run in the rain. Going to put my phone in a plastic bag. Cool. Well, Katie, have a great run. I'm pretty sure you're going to be going for a run today as well. He bloody loves a run. But yeah, thank you all for joining me. Hope you have a lovely day, whatever you're up to. And I will be back on Tuesday. It will be Tuesday, 11 a.m. GMT, which is probably it's exactly the same time as this show kicked off. So whatever time it was for you, that'll be when we're going live. Have a great day, guys. Thank you for joining me, and I will speak to you all very soon. Bye-bye.